All right, ready to dive deep. Today we're tackling a book that's over a century old, but people still swear by it, The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles.
It's a classic for a reason, yeah.
Definitely. So, what is it about this book that keeps people coming back?
Well, the way Wattles lays out wealth creation is fascinating. It's a formula, a science you can learn.
That's what caught my eye too. But then he throws this curveball saying desiring wealth isn't just okay, it's practically our moral duty.
It's a bold statement, right?
Totally. It kind of goes against everything I was taught growing up, you know? Like wanting to be rich was greedy.
I think a lot of people feel that way, yeah.
So how does he justify that?
Well, Wattles' point is that having wealth lets us live up to our full potential, not just for ourselves, but to help others too.
Okay, I see what you mean. It's more about the good you can do with wealth.
Exactly. Imagine having the resources to make a real difference in the world.
That's a great point. But let's be realistic, how many people actually reach that level of giving back?
That's where Wattles gets into the power of thought. He believes cultivating an abundance mindset, focusing on what we want instead of what we lack, is key.
So are you saying if I constantly worry about bills, I'm actually making things worse?
It's not quite that simple, but Wattles argues that our thoughts do shape our reality. Dwelling on lack can actually attract more of it.
So like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Exactly. It's like our mindset sets the stage for what we experience.
Okay, I'm starting to see the connection. Where does gratitude fit in, though?
Wattles is big on gratitude. He believes that even when things are tough, focusing on what we're grateful for can shift our energy.
So how does that actually work? Does being thankful magically solve problems?
Well, he tells a story about a man who lost his job and was feeling completely defeated.
I can relate to that feeling.
Right. So instead of wallowing, the man made a list of everything he was grateful for. His family, his health, having a roof over his head.
Okay, so by focusing on the positives, he changed his outlook.
It's more than that. That shift in perspective helped him see new opportunities. He actually ended up with a job that was even better than the one he lost.
Wow, that's a great example of how a simple change in mindset can have a big impact.
Exactly. It's about aligning ourselves with abundance.
Okay, so we've got positive thinking, gratitude, but is that all it takes to get rich? Just sit around feeling thankful?
Not at all. Wattles is clear that thoughts without action are useless. You need both.
Right, like that saying, the universe rewards action.
Exactly. He talks about two ways to achieve wealth: the creative and the competitive.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What's the difference?
The competitive method assumes there's only so much wealth to go around, so it's all about fighting for your share, outdoing everyone else.
That sounds exhausting.
It can be. And Wattles says it's ultimately limiting.
So what's the alternative?
The creative method.
Yeah.
It taps into the idea of unlimited abundance. It's about creating value, finding new solutions, and collaborating instead of competing.
That's a much more appealing approach.
It's about thinking bigger, yeah.
So instead of looking over your shoulder, you're looking ahead.
Exactly. Wattles encourages us to believe there's enough for everyone to succeed.
I love that mindset. It's so much more positive and empowering.
It is. He also talks a lot about faith and purpose, which are key.
Is he talking about religious faith here?
Not necessarily. It's more about trusting in the process, believing success is possible, even when you can't see it yet.
Like having that unwavering belief.
Exactly. And that faith is even stronger when you have a clear purpose, a vision of what you want to achieve.
That makes sense. Purpose gives you something to strive for, something to keep you going when things get tough.
He actually says something like, the man who knows what he wants and is determined to get it can overcome any obstacle.
Wow, that's a powerful quote. No wonder this book has resonated with people for so long.
It's timeless wisdom for sure.
Absolutely. So we've covered a lot: the right to desire wealth, the power of thought, taking action, embracing creativity, and the importance of faith and purpose. And there's still more to this science of getting rich.
Oh, there's definitely more. Wattles also dives into this idea of a universal substance that responds to our thoughts, which is pretty mind-blowing stuff.
Okay, now you've really got me hooked. We'll have to save that for part 2 of our deep dive into the science of getting rich.
Welcome back. Ready to explore more of the science of getting rich?
You bet. Last time, we left off with this mysterious universal substance idea. It really piqued my curiosity.
It's a fascinating concept, for
Well,
sure.
I have to admit, I was picturing something tangible, like a hidden vault of gold.
Yeah, I can see how the name might lead you that way.
So can you break it down for me? What exactly is this universal substance, and how does it play into getting rich?
Okay, so think of it less like a physical thing and more like an energy, a force, a formless field that's everywhere all around us.
Hmm. Okay. I'm trying to wrap my head around that. So it's not something you can touch or see, but it's still very real.
Exactly. And what makes it even more fascinating is that Wattles says this substance is intelligent and responsive to our thoughts and beliefs.
Okay, now that's where things start to get a little mind-bending for me.
I know, it takes a bit of a leap of faith, but just stay with me.
All right, I'm all ears. So, if this substance is everywhere, how do we tap into it? What's the connection to wealth?
That's where the power of our minds comes in. Wattles believed that this universal substance is constantly being molded and shaped by our thoughts.
So, like, our thoughts have a tangible impact on this unseen force.
Exactly. He believed that by holding clear mental images of what we want, we're essentially giving instructions to this universal substance.
So, it's like our thoughts are a blueprint, and the substance tries to match that blueprint?
You got it. He was a big believer in visualization. The clearer and more vivid the mental picture, the stronger the impact on the substance.
Now that you mention visualization, it reminds me of The Secret, that book and movie about attracting what you want. Didn't they talk about something similar?
You're exactly right. The Secret drew a lot of inspiration from Wattles' work. It's amazing how these ideas, even though they're over 100 years old, still resonate with people today.
Totally. It shows how timeless these principles are. But let's get down to brass tacks. I can visualize a mansion and a yacht all day long, but how does that actually translate into money in the bank?
Great question. Wattles doesn't just leave us with these abstract concepts. He gives us concrete steps to put these principles into action.
Okay, now we're talking. Give me those practical steps.
The first step is to create a crystal clear mental image of the wealth and the life you want. And don't be vague, get specific.
So not just, I want to be rich, but I want to earn X amount of money, live in this kind of house, and have these experiences.
Exactly. The more detailed and emotionally charged your vision, the more powerfully it will imprint itself on that universal substance.
So it's like creating a super detailed vision board, but in my mind.
Exactly. And remember that gratitude we talked about earlier. Make it a daily practice to appreciate what you already have, no matter how small. That keeps our energy aligned with abundance.
Right, because if I'm constantly complaining, I'm basically sending out the wrong signals, right?
Yeah. Precisely. And here's another key step. Act decisively and efficiently in your current circumstances.
So don't wait for the perfect moment, just start taking action now.
Exactly. Even small steps create momentum. And this part is crucial. Maintain faith in the process, even when things get tough.
So no giving in to doubt or fear, even when things aren't going my way.
Exactly. Those negative emotions can block your progress. Trust the process, even if you can't see results yet.
It's like taking a leap of faith, but a calculated one.
I like that. And Wattles even suggests acting as if your success is already a done deal.
That's an interesting idea. Fake it till you make it.
It's more about embodying the feeling of success, believing it on a deep level. That kind of confidence can be a powerful magnet.
So we've got visualization, gratitude, action, and unwavering faith. That's a pretty comprehensive approach. But does Wattles acknowledge that true wealth might be about more than just money?
That's a great point, and you're right. The book's title focuses on financial wealth, but Wattles does hint at the broader meaning of a rich and fulfilling life.
I'm glad to hear that. There's more to life than just dollars and cents, right?
Absolutely. And he believes these principles apply to all areas of our lives. Love, health, creativity, relationships, you name it.
So it's like he's giving us a formula for abundance, but we get to choose what kind of abundance we want to create.
Exactly. So let's say you've always dreamed of writing a novel, but you keep making excuses.
Oh, that's me to a T. So how would Wattles' approach apply to a goal like that?
Well, first you'd visualize yourself holding that finished book. Feel the pride and accomplishment. Then express gratitude for your existing writing skills, even if they're still developing, and then take action. Maybe start with writing for 15 minutes a day, anything to move toward that goal.
I love that. Small steps lead to big results, right?
Exactly. And most importantly, have faith in yourself. Trust that you can achieve your dream.
This is so inspiring. It's like he's saying, don't limit yourself, dream big, and apply these principles to any area of your life where you want to see growth and abundance.
You got it. Wattles reminds us that we're co-creators of our reality.
Yeah, I love that. It's empowering to know that we have more control than we sometimes realize. But I'm also curious about the criticisms of Wattles' work and how his book has shaped the world. There's got to be more to the story, right?
Oh, definitely. Every impactful work gets its share of criticism. Join us in part 3 as we delve into those critiques and explore the lasting legacy of Wattles' ideas.
We're back for the final part of our deep dive into the science of getting rich, and I'm curious about something.
What's that?
Well, we've covered so many mind-blowing ideas from Wattles' abundance mindset, visualization, even that universal
The
substance.
powerful stuff.
It is, but I'm also wondering about the other side of the coin. Not everyone buys into this way of thinking, right? What are the criticisms of Wattles' work?
You're right, not everyone agrees with everything he says. One of the big criticisms is that he puts a lot of emphasis on personal responsibility.
Yeah, I can see how that could be a sticking point for some people.
It's like he's saying you're in charge of your own destiny, which is empowering to a point. But it doesn't always take into account things like systemic barriers. You know,
Yeah.
people facing poverty or discrimination might not have the same opportunity.
Exactly. It's not always a level playing field, no matter how positive you think.
And critics argue that Wattles doesn't really address those complex social issues.
That's a valid point. It's like he's giving us the tools to build a house, but some people are starting with a pile of bricks, while others have a prefab foundation.
That's a great way to put it. Another criticism is that some of his language can sound a bit too mystical or out there.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, especially when he talks about that formless substance. It's not exactly scientific.
Right. It can be hard to square with our modern way of thinking.
But is there anything inherently wrong with incorporating a spiritual or metaphysical element into personal development?
Not at all. For many people, it's actually a source of motivation and empowerment.
It's about connecting to something bigger than yourself, right?
Yeah, exactly. And even if it doesn't perfectly align with science, it taps into this human need for meaning and purpose.
That makes sense. So it's about taking what works for you and acknowledging that there are different paths to growth.
Exactly. And despite those criticisms, there's no denying that the science of getting rich has had a huge impact.
It's incredible how a book written over 100 years ago can still be so relevant today.
Right. His ideas about abundance, gratitude, and faith have influenced countless people, even those who don't agree with everything he says.
What do you think it is about Wattles' work that keeps people coming back?
I think it's the blend of timeless wisdom and practical advice. He doesn't just tell us to think positive. He gives us concrete steps to change our thoughts and actions.
It's a roadmap for creating the life you want, and that's empowering.
It is. And in a world that often feels chaotic, it's comforting to remember that we have more control over our reality than we think.
We can choose our thoughts, focus on what we want, and take action towards our goals.
Absolutely. Wattles reminds us that we're not passive bystanders, we're active participants in shaping our own lives.
So, as we wrap up our deep dive into the science of getting rich, what's the one thing you hope our listeners will take away from this conversation?
If our thoughts really shape our reality, what does that mean for how we live our lives? That's the question Wattles leaves us with, and I think it's a powerful one.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? And for anyone who wants to explore these ideas further, I highly recommend picking up a copy of The Science of Getting Rich. It's a fascinating and inspiring read, even after all these years.
I agree. There's so much wisdom to be found in those pages.
Absolutely. So until next time, keep those minds curious, those aspirations high, and remember you have the power to create a life of abundance and fulfillment. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everyone.